Yeah.
All right. Welcome everybody. Thank you, Sheena. Welcome everybody. Another Friday Coffee Talk episode.
Yeah.
As I mentioned like the last week, we're thinking about changing up the format a little bit of our call. But I like the lot having it live. So I don't really know where we're going with it, but we're just throwing a bunch of ideas on the board and seeing what sticks. So again, if anybody has any ideas or even like in a things to put into an agenda, then feel free to tell us because we're gonna make some decisions soon. So, but I love this call. Like this call has really been something for me to keep grounded. One thing about our Friday calls is I've noticed that it's helped me process my thoughts more. You know, it's helped me, I think, get better at speaking on concepts that I may not have been able to communicate effectively. So I've gotten so much just out of showing up, every Friday and having conversations, and sometimes like you really, conversations that make you really think. And one of our mentors, Leonard Rosen, one of his, I guess, call outs to us was to be thought leaders, like with every person that you're around, like challenge your thinking and the people who are around you, ask them questions. What do you think about this? And that's one thing I got to get better at. But people who are around me do very well, like Sheena, our book club calls, it's like she asks like, what do you guys think about this? And I'm like, we need to ask each other more questions, to get a better understanding and stuff. So anyways, I've learned through these calls over the last, what is it, like 3 years, that I've gotten so much, out of having these calls, and we will continue to do it for sure. Maybe it might just change in a small fashion. I've met some lifelong friends through this call who I never would have met. I don't think I would have met Ben, and we still haven't met in person. I feel like I know the guy because he's, for years, we see each other.
That's
And
awesome.
we're doing deals with each other on these calls. So this will never change, but the format, we're gonna kind of change it up, I think, soon. So, but anyways, why don't we jump into it? Anybody have anything on the board or on the table that needs help, leads, needs, and good deeds?
I
Go ahead, Joe. I think you're mute again. No, can't hear you. Okay, hold on real quick. Joe, figure that out. I'm gonna go to Rosa. Hi, Rosa. I saw you on
Hi,
mute. So.
how you
You got
doing?
something?
Yes, I did.
Perfect.
So thank you for inviting me. This is so
Yeah.
valuable, and I appreciate you guys. So today on my way to one of my meetings, to my destination, I talked to my Uber driver about what we do, and it seems like he's interested in like investing. It's my first time that I have opened my mouth because I've been focusing on underwriting, so I'm freaking out. I'm like, what am
Wow,
I
good
gonna
for you.
say? How am I gonna do this?
That is awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome but scary at the same time. Yeah, he's like, yeah, give me your contact information. He texted me right away. So
You know what,
yeah.
too? Don't underestimate Uber drivers. Some of them, I've met two already because I'm like you. I always talk to my Uber drivers, like sometimes too much because like I end up distracting them and then we miss it. But I have such great conversations sometimes, and you can get to know the area that you're in, so well. And but I've met two Uber drivers that did not need to be driving Uber, and I
Yeah.
ended up looking back and verifying as well. So there's some guys that just love people and conversation, and they're just bored. Maybe they've already made it. Yeah,
Yeah,
I've met
probably.
two of them already. So yeah,
Nice. So what's
but
your
good for
advice?
you.
How should I like how should I
Continue to
guide him? Because I have been like focusing on underwriting and all of that I haven't really like studied like to the T, okay, this is what we do, like this is the percentage that we like bring to the table, this is the cash flow, all of that is just gets me so nervous.
Yeah. Okay. This is perfect. Because well, one, you have to start somewhere, and that's probably that's a huge win, probably more than you might know, is just talking to the first person, even if it's some random Uber guy, but here's the way that I have conversations with lenders or prospective lenders or investors is it's just a conversation, about what you do, about what they do, because you want to find out what they do as well, because it might not be for them, you know. Um,
Yeah,
if it's a person who might have like $20,000, but that's all they have, and
yeah,
they're really banking on you to come through, then then we shouldn't take that money. One,
yeah,
it's 20,000. It's hard to do much with 20,000 in real estate.
yeah,
We need kind of in the six figures or more in most,
yeah,
for most people. But when I'm talking to an investor or a prospective investor, um, I don't focus on selling. If it ever feels like you're selling yourself or selling your deal, then you're doing it wrong. You gotta stop,
yeah,
slow down, because when especially when you're raising money, right? The other person has to trust you, and if they ever feel like they're being sold, nobody likes to be sold, right? Nobody likes to be sold. They like to be served. And that's what they teach in the Go Giver series, like the Go Giver Sells More. That's one of the books. It's the green one. And in that book, they say like the secret to great selling and being a great salesman is to not sell. Like don't sell. Change it to serve, right? And the way I serve, right, and the way I read that is give value, give something. So what can we give a prospective investor, whether they're seasoned or especially if they're new, right? We
yeah,
can give them education, so I don't sell, um, you know, investors. I don't even really like the term raising capital, like
yeah,
it's because it's more educating. So the way the way I approach it is if somebody's new, I don't want to take $1 from them unless they even understand what this is all about from front to back, right? And so I usually start with educating them about being an investor, and even if somebody's already lent privately, and they've done a couple of successful deals, they may not still understand these concepts. They might have just trusted the person and just they're one of those trigger pullers, but they still don't know what they're doing, and what so I educate. And first you have to break down investing. What is investing? The fundamentals of investing come down to basically two questions: what's my risk, what's my return, right? And then you make your decision. Is the risk worth the return?
yeah,
um so I usually start there. I just say it outright. Like I just answer it for them because sometimes they don't even know the right question to answer, So I tell
yeah,
them that, as an investor, right? Like we have to answer two fundamental questions. What's my risk and what's my return? Right. Well,
yeah,
let's talk about the return. When you invest with us, we pay 12% interest annually, and we can pay monthly, if you can't pay monthly, don't tell them you can pay monthly, right? But I'll tell you guys how to pay monthly as well. Okay, so when I'm raising capital, I break it down to education and I tell them, here's the questions that we have to answer as an investor. What's my risk? What's my return? Well, the return is easy. We pay 12%, which is exponentially higher than most traditional investment vehicles out there, right?
yeah,
Most funds do not outperform the S&P 500. Yeah, and then they charge fees on top of that. I've had brokers in my office literally tell me that they cannot refer, because I'm like, guys, I'm not looking for the whole portfolio, but do you guys have like a section of your client base that this is a good model for them? It's pretty secure. It pays exponentially higher. And he literally said that they would never, they meaning his company that he worked for, they would never do that because they are afraid that they will lose their clients. Yeah. Like that was his answer to, I couldn't believe it. So really
By
it's not
saying that it's secure, you mean?
no, they would never so a broker like a financial planner or broker will sometimes like so there's I don't want to name the name. Yeah, I shouldn't. If you go to a brokerage to, give you their money, your money to manage like your retirement, like a retirement portfolio, right? They'll most likely put it in different assets. They'll probably put it, they're heavily tied to the market, so it's going to be in the markets, probably be in some indexes too. But they charge fees for that, right? That's how they make their money. Majority of them will charge an annual fee, and they may take a portion of any gains. So it really is kind of case by case, but I've seen statements in the negative before, and they still charge their management fee, which I think is just crazy. Like if I lose, like their job is to make, grow their portfolio. If it goes negative, then it's like somebody, like, I'm not going to charge a fee. Like I didn't even do my job. So anyways, so if you hand your money over to brokerages, they're going to put it in the market. They probably won't outperform the S&P 500 most likely, which has been historically anywhere from like maybe 7 to 11%. The most I've seen was honestly 4% minus like a percent management fee and then some miscellaneous fees. So really it's probably net like 2%, right? That, which is not, I mean, you'll never be, able to retire really, especially when inflation's at like 5 right now. So the point is that we need to take control of our own destiny, right? Because like I talk about being a Wall Street player or a Main Street player, we're not Wall Street players. We didn't grow up on Wall Street. We don't have that advantage that they have over the majority of people participating in the markets. And so we need to know what street we play on, which is Main Street. We're Main Street players. So the reason why we can get such high returns is because we're investing in Main Street, right? We're flipping it around. We're using kind of the Wall Street resources, using their resources, taking their money and investing it on Main Street like we should, right? So going back to kind of having that initial talk with an investor, I always break it down to what's my risk, what's my return. We go through the returns, 12%, that's awesome. It's better than what they're probably getting right now, right? But what is, like, we can promise 1,000%, return, but it doesn't matter if it's so risky that you're going to lose it all, right? So what's the risk? Well, I always it's always important to say that there's risk in any investment, including this one. Yeah. And if anyone's telling you that it's risk-free, it's guaranteed, then, it's a big red flag, right? So of course there's risk in any investment, this one included, right? But are there riskier investments? Of course there are, right? Mm-hmm. So let's talk about our risks and then how do we mitigate risk for our investors? Well, there's basically 4 kind of instruments and documents that secure their funds, right? So in Hawaii, you get a promissory note and a mortgage, right? So the promissory note and the mortgage secures their investment against the asset as their collateral, right? So they now have hopefully a lien position where they can have rights to the asset as collateral, and that's in a tangible asset. There's no security or collateral in the capital markets, right? If the stock goes down in what you're investing in, there's no collateral, to take back. You just gotta hope and pray it comes back in a timely manner. But so for when we go to what's my risk, we have 4 documents: promissory note, the mortgage, which secures the money against the asset as its collateral, tangible collateral. And then we also get property insurance and title insurance, which secures the asset to which their money is collateralized on, right? So you get kind of 4 pieces of security, if you want to call it that, right? So is it risk-free? No. Can you still lose your money? Yes. Right.
Yes.
But you can in the stock market too, right? If you hand it over to a brokerage, they can lose your money too. And recently people have found that out. So at least with real estate lending privately, you do have a little bit more control, right? And not only that, but you get exponentially higher returns than most investment vehicles out there, right? And most of the time when you're speaking with a potential private lender, the moment you start going down that road, they're thinking about their personal life, right? Their personal finances. Where is their money? Oh yeah, my money's in the market too. I gave it to that broker over there too. You know, I check my statements too. I am getting about 2% right now, you know? So there's, when you're educating them, one, you're giving value, right? And then, and you're solidifying trust because you're being honest. There is risk to this, but there's also risk to any investment. And if someone tells you there's no risk, then that's a big red flag, right? So we educate. One, they get value, and if they still don't get it, right? If they don't get it, then they're probably not ready, and you shouldn't take their money anyways, because if they get it and they're in a position that they can invest, you know, then it should be so black and white, such a no-brainer that if they don't say yes, then you shouldn't take their money anyways, right? Because it's just not going to be a good fit. So that's how I've seen, you know, the moment I've kind of changed, I've kind of always operated this way. I don't like the feeling of sales. You know, I don't like that. But I realize that sales isn't about selling; it's about serving, right? How do we serve these people? Well, let's ask them questions and find out what they do, right? And if they're in a high-paying job, right, and they can afford to invest, then it's a great option. You know, I think it's a great option. But we also want to ask them questions about what they, you know, what is their situation, what got them, you know, even thinking about investing privately, because sometimes the intent and the motivation doesn't fit too, right? So you kind of have to qualify your investors as well. And you don't want to take money from somebody who doesn't know what they're getting themselves into, because then that causes a lot of stress and headaches down the road. I never want my investors to be worried about their money. You know, I want them to be bragging about me. Like, I'm making double-digit returns, and then tell all their friends, you know, so that we can help more people, you know, and then we can flip more houses, we can buy more real estate, build our legacy. You know, it's good for everyone. Because if you're not a Main Street player, you shouldn't be playing on Wall Street. You know, not, you know, maybe if you can, if you want for funsies, I'd say. But if you want more control, where the game is fair and the odds are not stacked against you, then we have to understand what street we play on. Most of us here on this call are Main Street players. You know, we're small business owners, you know, entrepreneurs, average day Americans just trying to make it. You know, that's then we should be playing on Main Street, right? And that's how I've seen success in raising capital, is just getting out there and serving, you know, and educating why. And when you break it down to what's my risk, what's my return, you know, for them to make a decision, then just paint it black and white, because it's a no-brainer. We win every time, where it's a more secure investment and it's exponentially higher rate of return. So there should be no reason to sell people, you know, just educate them. And if it's not good timing for them, then it's not good timing, you know. But that's why I think people, you know, that's why I feel, Rosa, you might have had that anxiety, right? Is because, you know, the moment you just worry about like finding out genuinely who this person is, what is their goals, because you might find out that they might have better opportunities and maybe you should bow out, you know, and or you might find that this is a perfect fit I just met a guy in Vegas here 2 weeks ago at like some art show. Alex met him. Alex meets all kinds of people, and then I get to meet him. So it's been quite the journey being, his brother by his side. But I met this guy, Nick, and he just told me, he's like, dude, I'm making so much money from my e-commerce business. I don't know what to do with it. Like, I'm flying to Singapore because apparently I should go over there and set up accounts and whatever. I was like, yeah, I don't know that stuff either, but I was like, how much are you pulling in? He's like 1.2 million a month. And he says, and honestly, like I'm netting, like he said it's 900 clean every month. I was like, wow, that is a lot of money. That is a problem. When you make that type of money, it
Wow.
becomes a problem. You have tax problems. You gotta hedge, and create entities and build a entity structure to protect your money now. Now that's a good problem to have, right? And
Yeah.
but he's come into a lot of money, but it came from years of hard work. I think he has like a e-commerce business that sells kratom or something. It's like an energy drink, or I don't know, but
Oh,
it's kind of a new one of the new energy, whatever. And but he's crushing it right now. So I'm talking to this guy thinking like, man, I have the perfect avenue for him, like he's bringing that type of money. I mean, we couldn't even take in that type of money. Like, we don't even need that type of money. But if he needs a vehicle to put it, then real estate is the right place to do it, and so you'll talk to people from both spectrums. Someone who has no idea what investing is, right? Like my auntie down the road story I talk about is a true story, and she probably would still be in the rat race, and but we taught her just one strategy and how to leverage a HELOC and use it to invest at a higher rate, doing exactly what the banks do to us. They take our money, don't pay us any interest, and then they lend it out and they make a spread, right? And it's a big spread too. And they also leverage our money because they're financial institutions. So they're able to leverage our money 10 to 11x at the bare bottom prices from the Fed. So that's how banks get rich, and hold a lot of cash. So why can't we do the same, right? And that's a powerful strategy. It changed her life. So genuinely getting to know the person that's sitting in front of you, finding out what their intentions are, their goals, is going to help guide you in the conversation. But at the end of the day, once you educate them and take them down that path, just let them decide. Because like as long as they understand and it's communicated properly, then it should be a clear yes if they really are ready to invest. And if it's a no, then they either didn't understand it or it's not good timing for them. And maybe sometime in the future, or if they know anybody that this would benefit, you can always end it with that. So thank you for bringing that up, Rosa. Sorry, I spent a lot of time on that, but
thank you so much. Oh no, this is so helpful for me.
Yeah, if you have
Yeah,
any
I'm taking
questions
notes
about
and
it,
yeah.
does it make
Thank you so
sense
much,
though?
Cody. It does a lot. Thank you so much.
Of
Yeah, that
course.
helps
And
me to know I'm helping them, and I don't want to bring them to anything that doesn't fit their criteria. So
yeah,
thank you so much.
yeah, hopefully it provides a little relief from the anxiety, right? Because it's like, don't
Yeah,
worry, if they like, all we're doing is educating and being curious about what they do and stuff, right? So
yeah,
and if they keep asking questions, that's a good sign that they might be interested, right? So
interesting.
yeah, go
Yeah,
get them, Rosa.
yeah.
Congratulations though on taking the first step in
Thank you.
opening the conversation. So
Yes, thank
don't forget
you.
to get back to that guy.
Yes,
He might be the real
I
deal.
will.
Awesome. Keep us updated. Jake. Oh, dude,
Go
you can
for
give
it.
us some insight.
I can.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
it's what you
I,
do.
yeah, it is what I do, and I just, like I said, I dodged a $60,000 loss the other day with some fake documents. So yeah, I don't know, for those on the call that don't know, I did 7 private money lending deals. I'm currently in 3. I avoided one this past uh, a couple weeks. This guy sent me a deed of trust, and it just didn't sit right with me. It looked different. I sent it to an attorney. I paid an attorney $300 to review them, and he just gave me a whole email, a bunch of red flags. And then come to find out, I do a background check on this guy. He got evicted 7 times. What else? He owes L&I 60,000. He had like bad reviews on Yelp from past LLC businesses. So if I didn't do my due diligence on my borrower, then I probably would have been in a loss, because he was a good talker, very smooth talker. I met him for lunch, and then he calls me out on Facebook. Kikoa sees it on Facebook. I reply back to him, and then the thread gets deleted. I was like, any partner that would do business with you would see multiple red flags on a quick background check.
Yeah.
So it was a good learning lesson for me. Even though I didn't lose money, I felt like I made money for some reason. So I was like, that weekend I bought me some shoes. I just felt happy, like, damn, I saved myself 60K. So it's important doing your due diligence, but all my other ones been going good so far. So yeah.
That's a huge learning lesson. Like, so how did you pull so you sent it to an attorney? Like, I mean, so what was is that just protocol for you, or did you have a gut feeling like, I don't know, something's not right? Or was it the contract?
It was the contract. It was the first. He sent me a private money loan agreement. Usually they're promissory notes. So I questioned it. I questioned a lot of things. Like you said, like you told me before when I met with you, right, Corey? Like, it's my money. I deserve to get all the questions answered, and I can ask whatever questions I want. So he's like, oh, I just do it because of this. And then the document said lendee and lender. Usually it's borrower. So that was, and then the deed of trust I caught. He told me he's transferring one property from one LLC to another LLC. I look into the deed. His mom owns it, but the LLC on the deed is his LLC, not the LLC it's going to. So I call him on that. Like, oh, shouldn't it be in the other LLC? Oh, I'm glad you caught that. Yes. And then the borrower signature line. I read this book, Lend to Live. So I went home that night. I reviewed it. I put a bunch of sticky notes in there. And then there's a certain format that makes it legally binding. If someone like signs their name and it doesn't have the its managing member or its owner, if they leave that part blank and it doesn't state what they are, they're signing on their personal name and not on behalf of the LLC. So that document would carry no legal weight in court. If I were to present it, the judge would be like, oh, well, it doesn't say they're a managing member. So he left that part blank. The LLC was the wrong LLC. The format line didn't even have his name printed. It just had a line, and then that was it. It was LLC. So it should have his name printed underneath his signature, right?
Yep.
So I think he was hiding all that stuff because of his criminal past history. But yeah, a lot of sharks. So this is my first experience coming across one, and I'm glad I did my due diligence and I got him. So
I bet you he's burned a lot of people.
Probably. And then he was telling me, like, oh, there's a lot of sharks out here in this mine. He's local to where I live in Washington in Kitsap County. He has a license plate, Northwest Invest. I'll just go ahead and say his LLC name. I don't think it does.
Name and shame.
Name and shame. And then, the deals he showed me, he's like, yeah, I'm ready to close on these myself if nobody buys them. And I still see him listing it. So he's just full of shit. He's just a wholesaler trying to scam people, I feel like. But
what was the name again?
Talked a big game, but when it came down to it, his name is Mackenzie Scott, and his LLC is Northwest Invest LLC. And if you do a quick research on him, you'll see his other businesses where he scammed people and he had stories about it. He's been evicted 7 times. He told me he owns places. He owns 8 rentals. I was like, yeah, I doubt you own 8 rentals if you're that much in debt.
Yeah. He
lost every case. They're all still active though, so I think he hasn't paid those people off. So yeah, quick sidebar about that. But what I really raised my hand for is I'm currently in Waimanalo at my mom's house, and I need help with this situation. Just kind of brainstorming ideas.
Okay.
So she lives upstairs. Downstairs is vacant. My uncle lived downstairs. He lived a long, happy life. Passed away last year at 95. So downstairs is vacant. My mom is getting older, and she has like a little chairlift to get her upstairs. So I want to kind of renovate the whole downstairs, change the layout, move her, my sister, and my niece downstairs, and either a midterm rental, because I was talking to some neighbors around here. They said there are a lot of nurses, or maybe, I know the short term is hard here. I don't know what it's like, do it under the radar or whatnot, but it's close to the beach. I think there's a lot of potential to generate income on the upstairs. Upstairs would be like a light rehab, but downstairs I'd want to hire an architect or designer and add a bedroom and open up the master and pretty much reconfigure the whole layout downstairs. The things I would need help with is, one, if anyone knows a designer or architect that could assist with that. And then two would be the financing part. My mom refinanced last year with Chris Allen. She just did a small cash out refi. Still a lot of equity in the house. I believe her mortgage is a little over 3. The house was last year was like, what is that? The computer appraisal was like little over $1 million. So there's still a lot of equity to tap into. Just she's on a set income. She gets 3 checks a month. She's retired. So I just pondering ideas like, do I have to be on it? Could we do like a BRRRR but without the B, without the buy, since we're just rehabbing, rent it out and then maybe refinance later, and then we can pay back a hard money lender. Like, I don't know if you guys do a situation like this. It's kind of an awkward situation because I just need ideas on how to attack this. I want to move her downstairs, renovate.
Jake, not
total renovation. I would say,
yeah.
just off the top of my head, maybe 125 for downstairs, maybe 75 for upstairs. Upstairs is maybe a cosmetic. I probably wouldn't change anything, just a typical cosmetic rehab upstairs, but downstairs would pretty be a heavy one.
Okay.
I would say, yeah, around 200 maybe, for 200K for the full house. That's just off the top of my head.
Like a care
What's
home?
up?
You gonna try to turn it into like a care home, you think?
No, so downstairs, just move my mom. And upstairs, either midterm rental. I was talking to a neighbor. He said another guy in Waimanalo rents out rooms to traveling nurses. He rents out a room for $1,500 a month, and then he has mopeds and he rents the mopeds out to them. But I think the nearest hospital would be Castle, unless there's right Castle Hospital. I think would be the nearest to Waimanalo. But the beach is also close, right? Bellows is like 2 minutes from my mom's house. We live like the closest neighborhood to Bellows Beach. So I'm also thinking of like short-terming it somehow. Because I know before there was Airbnbs on here, but I know they've been cracking down.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, worst case would be a long-term rental. But I kind of like the midterm with the nurses. Every 90 days, he was saying, just have anyone in there.
Does he live nearby?
Yesterday. Which guy? The guy that was telling me this stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's my neighbor right across the street. I'm in the garage now. He lives across the street, but his friend lives nearby. I think it might be like Homestead side. He just pointed towards the Homestead area and he said, "Oh, you know so-and-so?" And I was like, "Yeah, sounds familiar, the last name." He's like, "Yeah, he Airbnb or midterm rentals. He just rents out rooms to traveling nurses."
So if he's booked, then it kind of tells you.
Yeah, he's booked.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
all the
booked.
way.
Yeah, he said every 90 days he'll get a new one.
It
was just a short conversation. Yeah. So I just if I could, I don't know, the financing part and the design part.
So the financing part, yeah, might have to get creative, and we'll have to know the numbers, like what's the current value, right? How much? 200,000. Jake, why don't we catch up after, and maybe we can work through the numbers. Yeah. But also, if anybody else has an architect or like designer or draftsman that they can refer to Jake, then Jake, why don't you just drop your contact again?
Okay. Yep, I'll put it inside the email. Right on. Thanks, Corey.
Yeah, that'd be good to see too, because like we've been looking for a good one too.
Yeah, we can also like I'm hoping to like figure out what to do with the upstairs, but I mean it's a big house too. I don't know the exact square footage, but right now it's like 6'4", I believe. Yes, three bedroom downstairs, 3 bedroom upstairs, 2 full baths, 2 half baths. But the downstairs you could probably easily turn it into 4, even possibly 5 bedrooms, because he has a big game room in the back. That game room could be split into 2, making it a 5 bedroom downstairs. So got a lot of potential. Just that's why I need an architect design to figure out the best use, kind of tell them the game plan. This is what we're trying to do. But then I want to bring my mom downstairs, so I'd rather have it open for her, open layout and all that stuff, just more modern. Because this house hasn't done any renovations since maybe the 90s. So it's been 30 years.
Yeah, let's see if we can put the numbers here and find an angle there.
Okay.
And then have you brought this up to Kikoa by any chance?
No, I didn't. I mean,
hard to get. Yeah, because
Yes,
you know
he
what?
is.
Yeah, he's hard to nail down. I told him though he's got to come back to Hawaii more often now. So
Yeah, yeah, good.
yeah, we'll get him down here, but because he's been going through like the conversion of single family to a care home. There
Yeah.
might be a way that I mean I don't know if your mom would want that though, right? Like, is that the problem?
It's not, no, I don't. I think she's open as long as she's downstairs, and we'd have to split the entry. So that's like another thing an architect for, because right now we'd have to have separate entries, right? Make the upstairs separate than downstairs.
Yeah, but if you already have that chair, is the lift already installed?
Yes, the lift is installed on the stairs right now. Yep, yep.
Is the
It's just
house
a
already like ADA compliant and stuff?
no, it's just a chair
Oh,
lift. That's it.
okay.
The
I would
downstairs bathroom.
definitely make it compliant in the rental.
Yeah.
With the like the toilet seat heights and stuff like that. I would try to,
Okay.
because why not, right? Like, and
Yeah.
then you have an option to
Mhm.
rent it out. If I don't
Yeah.
know much about that side.
Yeah.
Kiko has been doing it because he's got one in Bellevue, Washington, for his family that he's
Yeah. Yep.
putting
Yep.
out. So but I know it was a process and it was a big learning for him. But maybe that's one thing to consider too, because with a house that big, like maybe you can cash flow,
Yeah.
not just
Yeah.
like cover the debt, but like maybe because like there's a lot of money in that
In that, yeah, in that
niche,
niche. Yeah.
but
Yep.
like
Yep.
it's like we need it, like
Uh-huh.
it's we need more care homes. Some of the care homes out there, they charge at their lowest at like 10,000 a month, 10,000 a month, and their waiting list is backed up like months, if not years, from the last time I checked, which is actually like a couple of years ago. So could have changed by then. Could be different by now. Could be worse.
Right.
Like the demand is just in such need that I think that they're loosening regulation on care homes, like single family care homes. So anyways, I would at least look into that, Rock, because like 10,000, it was like 10,000 a room.
He said 15. Okay, cool. Me and him, he took me to it. He gave me a tour of it on last week, Monday. Then I went to his Airbnb project too, and I posted, and that's what that guy that tried to scam me. I made an ad for Washington real estate investors on Facebook group. So I posted investor alert, kind of an ad looking for another property that can be converted to an assisted living. And that guy commented on it, saying that I don't keep my word. He just all butthurt that I didn't fund him, that he didn't get a free 60K. So Kiko was like, "Hey, Malo commented on your post." I said, "Yeah, I know." And then I replied to him more in a professional manner, but then the administrators kind of deleted the comment. They left my post up, but they deleted the comments. Yeah. That was my first time ever being involved in some drama, I guess.
There'll be more.
There'll be more.
Yeah. That's like every day in our office. Yeah. Well, good job catching that one, bro. Like that was a big win. And well, let's dive in. We'll dive into numbers for mom, so we can help her out. Yeah. How long are you in Limonolo for?
I'm just here till Monday afternoon. I fly back. So
okay.
But yeah, we'll catch after.
Yeah, after later.
Shoot. I'll put my stuff in the chat right now.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Jake.
Yep. Thank you.
That's so awesome to hear, because like I just learned a couple of things there too. We forget like to check the signature line, like something small like that, if that's the case. And I didn't know that. Is that a state specific thing?
I'm not sure. So there was a case, that's why in this book, the Lend to Live, private money lending. It's on Bigger Pockets bookstore. So I read the whole book. They just see it as a lesson learned. This guy named Mike had a borrower. The borrower defaulted. He had the deed of trust, or the mortgage, took it there. The judge was like, "Oh, it doesn't have its managing member." So it was almost like signs. I went through this book and everything was just like, I shouldn't fund this guy. And then he was pressuring me too, right? The next day, he's like, "Hey, can I call on your word? They're trying to close today." And he told me it was like one day after it, and he's trying to like rush me to wire the money.
Exactly.
It was to an escrow account though. One of them was to an escrow account. The other one was to his personal account, but he said he was going to use the 10 grand to clean up the place and then wholesale it to builders that would, knock it over and build a new one. But I said, "Oh, do you have builders? Can you show me any conversations with them? You said you have 2 guys on the hook." oh, well, it's just all like over the phone. It's just all verbal commitments. That's just how we do it in the real estate world, and this and this. And yeah, and then he didn't show me any proof that he had two builders interested in knocking down this property and building two duplexes. He's like, I just need 10 grand to hire a junk removal company, clean it all out. I'll give you back five on top of your 10. And so a 50% return in 1 month, right? Sounded good. But then it was his personal account. And then I was like, oh, are you sure you're able to, after we clean it up, you sure you're able to assign it and wholesale it? He's like, yeah, I got two buyers on the hook, two builders. And I was like, oh, do you have any like emails that you could send me? He didn't have any. So I was like, yeah, I don't think it's good. Yeah.
Dude, that's the perfect theme, because like what you're doing, like what Jake is doing, right? Like, because he's an investor, is like risk versus return, right? Like that's what you're doing. Like, okay, 50%, he's offering 50%. Dang, that's pretty good. That's in a short return, in a short window. So like let's dive into this opportunity. But then like Jake's no rookie, so like he's so like you can tell him 1,000% return, but it's like, okay, like, but tell me how you're gonna pay me back, like when, and it's got to make sense, right? So you're now it's like, okay, let's look at the risk. Yeah, and like let's see the deal. Like, what's your exit strategy? Oh, well, I'm gonna clean it up. I'm just gonna buy it, clean it up, and I'm gonna wholesale it to builders. Okay, well, who's the builders? So let me see. Like, I want to make sure that they're interested. That like that's what you're doing, right? Like, now you're attacking the risk. You already satisfied the return. Good to go. That's good. We don't need to negotiate that. That's pretty high. If anything, like now we have to see if is the exit strategy, and maybe he could even lie and tell you the exit strategy and how they're going to pay you back. But if it still doesn't make sense economically, then again, you catch them in another lie. And usually, like when some guys are really good, I'll tell you that some guys are really good. And those are like the dangerous ones, but like some guys are good. So good that like, and they don't care, they don't care.
It's crazy, just evil people, man. Like the Yelp reviews, people said, husband and wife, Malo is the smooth talker. He will promise you end on end, and that's exactly what he did to me, bro. Such a smooth. I was thinking like he probably make a movie about this guy's life, about being like a high level con artist, because it was like he had me at one point, hook, line, and sinker, and showing me properties and sending me stuff, texting me every day. Good morning, bro. Like just trying to, bring my guard down. And it was working to a point. And then one Yelp review is what started it all. I was like, I wonder if these people are telling the truth. So I asked him about it. And then he kind of had an excuse why they wrote that. Then I did more and then looked into the court system, public records. And then that's when I found a lot. And I was like, nope, he's done cutting all ties.
Dude, yeah. Oh, good thing. Yeah. That's a huge win. Yeah, I would go out to celebrate with something like. Sometimes the best deals you do are the ones you don't do.
Right? So, true.
Yeah, true. And guys like that, and this is why I tell our guys, our team, is like we got to do the homework inside. That's why we're not here to just cut loans. We're here to grow. That's why we have book club. That's why we're thought leaders. We're thinking on a different level, so that it's not because. There's many reasons why I say that, but mainly it's because what Jake just gave an example of is that this guy was good. He's a sweet talker. It made sense. Like and for him, it's checking boxes initially, but if you don't do the work inside and you know yourself well and know your value and what you have to offer, then you're just going to be sold by people like that. You're just going to hang over all their words and stuff. And there's a lot of smoke and mirrors out there, especially the higher and higher you go, the bigger assholes you deal with, the bigger con artists you deal with, like there's still danger, so we have to work on ourselves and personally grow in all the intangibles so that when, there is somebody who's, trying to hurt you and you don't know it, then it will eventually get found out, because you're going to ask the right questions and you're going to stick to them. It doesn't matter how much bravado this person has or how much of a sweet talker they are, that through your experience and because you've done the homework and your worth, like Jake said, it's his money, not their money, so you have a right to ask those questions. And just like for, when we're talking with Rosa, like for me, I would never give that energy to a prospective investor, like just tell them, just trust me, basically is what he's saying. Oh, just trust me, or like, I don't want them to just trust me. I want to show proof, I want to show that we can pay 12%, and if you need references, you can call any of my investors. I got a lot of them, and they'd be happy to speak on my behalf. Like you want that type of reputation and being that transparent. Otherwise, you're gonna, like these guys, they might go a little bit, they might go far, but they don't go all the way. They get found out once they hit the real deal. Like Jake. He probably he like, ran into all your questions. He's like, oh fuck, this isn't the guy. This ain't the guy. Abort. Yeah. Yeah. Major bullet you dodged on that one. Well, thank you for sharing, Jake.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. So, man, I can't believe it's been almost an hour already. Like I got a hard stop in 5 minutes, but does anybody have like anything? Sorry, we took I mean, I guess that was a lot of like that's important topics, like we're talking about raising capital, private lending, and making sure you don't get found out, or like you find out the guys who are trying to scam people out there, there's a lot of them too. So anybody got it? Oh, thank you, Jen. Let me check the comments one more time. Please contact Jake too if you guys have any good draftsmen, especially if they're looking for work. Like,
Hey, Corey,
right.
Can I share something?
Kurt, yes.
Be careful in the title side we get. If anybody calls you and says, hey, I'm going to sell my land and you don't know them, call title company and we'll get the deed. There's a lot of scammers out there trying to sell land and they don't own it. So be very careful when someone calls you and say, hey, I want to sell and it's a good deal. Take your gut feeling and call title company and find out the deed, because we've caught a lot of scammers out there. And also when you're doing notary, make sure you know that notary, that they're licensed and they know what they're doing, because a lot of them are really scam artists and they just want to cut a deal. So we had training where notary, the guy just showed up a picture of himself, like a cartoon character and the notary says, okay, thank you. And then they sign everything. Just make sure that whatever title company you're doing notary, do your homework on the notary. Make sure they're licensed and they have insurance with E&O. So I just wanted to let you guys know about that.
Thank you, Kurt. Yes. Yeah. And it sounds so elementary, but I can see how, I mean, I would even sometimes, because we do it so often. It's like, and sometimes it's off-market deals. You're dealing direct to seller, and right now, like structuring some sort of owner financing deal where maybe you don't have to use title necessarily. Like you always run title though, like you always run title, like Kurt's saying, and maybe that's the first thing you do so you don't waste time. That was going on a lot when Craigslist was kind of the place to go, to post your, for sale by owner deals and stuff like that. Does that still happen on Craigslist? No, people still post real estate deals. Maybe it's time to go look at it and check again. Facebook Marketplace, yeah, people post, but yeah. But thank you guys again for jumping on for another Friday. Hope you guys have a great weekend, and we'll see you guys next week. Thank you guys. Thanks, Kurt.
Thank
Thanks,
you
Rosa.
so much, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll reach out to you too.
Yes.
Maybe drop your contact in the chat if you don't mind sharing.
Yes,
and then
definitely.
I'll reach out to you.
Yes.
Happy Mother's Day, everybody.
Oh, thank you,
you.
Kurt. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers making the world go round. We love you guys.
Yes.
Okay, take care.